Hi, I'm Pastor Marty Levesque, and welcome to the next installment of All Saints Sound Bites. Today, we are going to talk about the Burse and the Veil, and a few of the things that happen at the altar on Sundays. The Burse, it comes from the Greek bursa, meaning bag. The Burse is a folding case from two squares of rigid material that are covered in cloth, and the Burse is placed on top of the chalice, the paten, and the veil. And it serves to hold the corporal and any extra purificators that may be needed during worship. The corporal is then removed from the burse. It is placed on the altar, and the chalice, the paten, burse and veil rest then upon the corporal. The corporal comes from the Latin meaning corpus, which means body, because it is used to catch any pieces of the consecrated host, meaning any pieces of the bread that may fall off the paten during the celebration of the Eucharist. It is also symbolic of the Lord's grave clothes. The purificators, which come from the Latin puros, meaning pure, and facere, meaning to make. Purificators are used to clean the chalice by wiping the rim of the chalice between each communicant to make the chalice pure for the next person to receive communion. Next is the veil. The veil is like a tent covering. It is typically the liturgical color of the day, and like all things in church, the veil began with a very utilitarian function and soon took on deep symbolic meaning. There are several possibilities, and some say it represents the veil of the temple, which separates the Holy of Holies from the rest of the temple. And I personally struggle with the symbolism because the veil of the Holy of Holies was torn in two on Good Friday. But if we go back further, and we go back to Exodus, the veil symbolizes the tent of meeting that we find in Exodus 33, verses 7 to 10. Now Moses used to take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, far off from the camp, and he called it the tent of the meeting. And everyone who sought the Lord would go out to the tent of the meeting, which was outside the camp. And when Moses went out of the tent, all the people would rise and stand, each one of them at the entrance of their tents, and they would watch Moses until he had gone into the tent. When Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stand at the entrance, and the Lord would speak to Moses. And when all the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, all the people would rise and bow down, all of them at the entrance of their tents. In the very same sense, we come to the tent to meet our Lord. As the priest enters the tent, comes up and removes the veil, all stand for the Eucharistic prayer. After the words of institution, on this night, he freely gave himself to death. Our Lord Jesus Christ took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it, gave it to his disciples, and said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is given for you." Then after supper, he took the cup of wine, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them and said, "Drink this, all of you. This is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Whenever you drink it, you do this in remembrance of me." Each person at the words of institution bows as the Lord is made present at the tent of the meeting. And that is why you will see me bow after each set of words of institution. And finally, the pall. The pall is a small, rigid white cloth covered square. It's embroidered with a cross at the center. Its purpose is to be available to cover the chalice during the Eucharistic prayer as needed to keep things from falling into the chalice, or for the dreaded fruit flies to find their way into the wine. Thank you for being with us today as we continue to move throughout the church and learn the symbolism of the many parts of our worship. And on behalf of all saints, where all are saints, all are welcomed, and all are loved, have a blessed day.